Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Really do hope that. I want to talk about the freaking goalkeepers again, because just as I was reacting to a story yesterday on Chelsea going all in on the new goalkeeper, there's since been a briefing. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I believe this briefing, but the likes of Ben Jacobs, the Daily Mail people, and Nizar Kinsella of BBC have all come out going, oh, Chelsea are not going to get a goalkeeper in the summer. Joao Felix, who's got good information, looks like he believes otherwise. I want to talk about it a little bit, speak about that. Of course, we are going to be doing a lot of business, supposedly, reportedly. We'll see what happens there in the summer. And I think that's whether we do get Champions League or, Europa League. I think business will be done. I think players will be sold. And I do want to reiterate the Raheem Sterling conundrum. Very interesting odds for his next club. And yeah, Italian media really slagging off Joao Felix, football's orphan. What are we going to do with him? I want to get into it today, guys. Thank you as always for joining me. Nice to see you here, man. Nice to see you here. Oh yeah, we've signed a new player as well. Mental. And guess what? You'll never guess. It's a teenage South American, it looks like. Yeah, he's Brazilian. Shock! Horror! Thank you for dropping a like on the video. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get into it. You know what? Let's start with that then, shall we? Yeah, it's been confirmed across different journalists, football social media accounts. Chelsea have completed the signing of Corinthians left-back Denner for £8.2 million with £3.3 million potential in add-ons, so a base of £8.2 million. Which, of course, isn't much money at all, but if you add it up to all the other children we've purchased over the last, 2.5 years, or however long it is now, they've started the sort of kindergarten project. It's a lot of money. It's lots of players that could help the first team. Granted, they will argue if a few of them come good, then it's massively worth it. He's going to arrive in London, June 2026. Whatever. I mean, he's hardly going to be the backup left-back for Cucurella if he's arriving in a year's time. He'll be on a 7-year contract, probably a 7+1, an 8-year contract. Whatever. We will forget. Look, we're obviously going to get very excited about Esteban Willian because he looks, people are branding him the new Neymar. In fact, he's broken Neymar's records playing in Brazil as a young teenager, scoring. I mean, he scored that amazing goal the other day. I'm sure loads of you have seen it on social media. It's very difficult to not get excited about Esteban Willian. Of course, he arrives in weeks, he'll be at Chelsea. Who's at Chelsea right now? Who's in London right now? Well, that's Kendry Paez, the young Ecuadorian superstar who's already posting on social media, him around London, like London phone boxes and stuff. He's obviously already come to Cobham a few times to acclimatise to, the training, the language. I'm sure he's learning English. I don't think... Maybe Kendry Paez can be registered for the Club World Cup. I know Esteban Willian has sort of nailed his colours to the Palmeiras mast, so he will represent them in the Club World Cup, like one final hurrah, it would seem. And then obviously come to Chelsea. But maybe Kendry Paez can play in the Club World Cup for us. That's fun and exciting. These guys are arriving soon, with Mike Penders as well, who we'll talk about in just a moment with the goalkeepers. But this kiddie, whatever, bro. Add it to the list. Another child through the door arriving somewhere in the future. Just forget about it. I'm going to forget about it. I mean, hopefully he's a superstar. I do want a backup left back though. Clearly Vega doesn't want to play there, so one to add for the summer. Transfer business. I'm going to end on goalkeepers because it's a very important subject for me. It's an emotionally vulnerable subject for me. First of all, I'll talk about Joao Felix in a minute. I'm going to read a little bit from footballitalia.net. But Raheem Sterling, yeah? The guy who's not done anything for Arsenal. Granted, he's not been given a big chance, but he's been hugely underperforming. I'm looking at an odds checker here. 3 clubs, yeah? Chelsea, 5-4, yeah? 5-4 to play for Chelsea next season, which is the favourites. Okay, let me just quickly run these through. Arsenal, 2-1. Why would Arsenal sign him? Mikel Arteta he hasn't got a snowball's chance in hell of being offered an Arsenal contract. I will lose my mind with shock if that happens. Now, and almost just for banter, the third favourite here is apparently Manchester United. Again, makes zero friggin' sense, because they're supposed to be getting away from the big high contract players, you know? It makes absolutely no sense for Chelsea, Arsenal, or Man United to have Raheem Sterling next season. I don't think he's the worst player in the world. I think he had been excellent in 2019. He was like one of the best forwards in the world, yeah. And he's still only 30. But there's no way he ends up at any of those clubs. All those fan bases, respectively, will be very, very frustrated and upset. I have a great deal of sympathy for the guy. I think he's a model professional. I think he's had an incredible career. I don't want to undermine anything. I don't want to suggest he's not trying. And he's just taking it. I think he does want to play football, but I just don't think he's got the juice anymore. What the ruddy heck are we going to do with Raheem Sterling when he returns to Chelsea in the summer? I ain't got the foggiest. I mean, obviously, we're thinking things like Saudi. I wonder if he'll have to. I mean, if he doesn't go to Saudi, he takes a significant pay cut and maybe goes to Italy. And I've said this thing in a recent video. A top 4 Italy club might take him. Go and live somewhere in hot, lovely, beautiful Italy. You're going to have to take the hit and leave London, man. Either that, or you just completely, you cut your salary into a third of what you're currently owning, and then you try and go to Fulham, or you try and go to Palace. That's all I got for you. Because even Brentford and take an even bigger pay cut. If he desperately wants to stay in the Prem, and he desperately wants to stay in England, I reckon there'll be a club for him. But brother, you're going to lose all your money. So I think maybe Italy, like a top 4 Italy club, plays slightly more, or you go to Saudi, dude. But it is tough. It is a big problem that we're going to have to address closer to the time. Alright, Joao Felix had an amazing debut, chipping the goalkeeper, scoring a goal. Football-italia.net writes this: Joao Felix's impressive debut for Milan already feels like a distant memory, as the Portuguese forward's form has gradually declined, casting doubt on the prospect of a permanent transfer from Chelsea at the end of the season. The 25-year-old made an immediate effect after joining the Rossoneri on loan in the closing hours of the January transfer window. Of course, he scored his first goal for the club in the match against Roma in the Coppa Italia. However, since he started, he struggled to build momentum since then, with the team's difficulties seemingly affecting his performances, as he's failed to register a goal or an assist in 6 matches that follows, despite starting on each occasion. That's in Italy. That's in a team where he could probably be more of a Cole Palmer figure, where he'd wanted to be. He's expressed a desire to stay at Milan. Remember, we've already reacted to that. I don't dig how he's, making kissy faces at Chelsea on 2 occasions over recent years, and then just in between, just happy to go. I feel bad because he's just desperate for a club, but at the same time, he's, these players ain't loyal. It's a little bit he just don't care, does he? Just let me play football. He says I love you, and then he'll go and say I love you to someone else. Cold. So he's expressed a desire to stay at Milan. Gazzetta dello Sport reports that is difficult to imagine the Rossoneri are making an investment to keep him there, given his poor contributions so far. Yeah, I've heard things about him saying he's as useless as he is handsome, or something like that. They're weird headlines. We paid 45 million for him, which I thought was a good deal. He's lowered his wages to make him a more, accessible player to acquire, whether that's purchase or on loan here or whatever. And he's an immense talent. And I don't think he's a soft fairy that can't get stuck in. I think he's really good. And I think he's a good guy, despite all this kissy faces left, right, and centre. But it's going to be a trio of tricky players for me, right? So, and we'll speak about the goalkeepers, which are separate in just 1 second. There's the aforementioned Sterling, which is top of the tree. What the ruddy heck are we doing here? And then, of course, there's Felix and Nkunku, who will have admirers. Probably Nkunku more than Felix now, because Nkunku is a goal scorer. He's not necessarily in awful form. I mean, he's scored against Southampton and he's looked a little bit better. If he finishes the season strong, he might put Chelsea fans in a position where we go, can we keep him and not have to keep Felix, who's returning? Excuse me, but they are the 3 players that we're going to have to watch till the end of the season and hope something happens to find solutions. Although, let's be real, absolutely nothing's going to happen with Raheem Sterling in the end of Arsenal's campaign. Right then, so let's break my fragile little vulnerable heart. Again, I do think this is a multiple briefing to certain journalists all at once. Ben Jacob posts this on X. Chelsea have no plans to sign a new keeper this summer. Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen, Georgi Petrovic and Mike Penders all seen as capable of wearing the number 1 shirt for Chelsea as a goalkeeper. Petrovic will have a boost in wage if he returns to Chelsea and is having an excellent season with Strasbourg. Yeah, and Penders is viewed as a highly rated and, although young, capable of taking Premier League football quickly. So, let's talk too bad, too good. And look, I've got nothing against these guys. Yeah, when I say I don't think they're good enough, I've never played as a goalkeeper. I've never played as a professional footballer. But from what I've seen as a fan watching football for a long time, I don't think Jorgensen or Sanchez are good enough to be Chelsea goalkeepers for different reasons. Yeah, I think they've both got good things in their locker, but I've just seen enough, bro. I don't think, like there was an idea at Chelsea that Sanchez had this really high ceiling because he had certain skill sets, but he's 27 years old. We've seen him, he's got so many Premier League appearances. There's a huge amount of data to analyse. And he's not the one. Jorgensen, I don't think Jorgensen was ever apparently Villarreal fans were happy to see the back of him for 20 million. They were like, thank you very much, which tells you everything you need to know, personally. And again, no disrespect to him. He's still young, he's early 20s, he could become better, but for me, not for me. Now, of course, Georgi Petrovic, the guy who benched Sanchez last season, is having a really good season in Liga. He's got the most highest passes or best passes, and we know he can make a save. And he's quite young as well, I think. Petrovic, I don't think he's an old. He's 25, so yet to enter his prime as a goalkeeper. And of course, Mike Penders, who I believe is still a teenager. And yes, the streets or the football nerds and all this kind of stuff, they will tell you Mike Penders is really, really good. He's 19, but he turns 20 at the end of July. Yeah. So by the time next season starts, he will be 20, which actually, if Gigi Donnarumma can be the first team goalkeeper for Milan at 15 or 16 years old or something insane, I know he was a giant, 20 years old, could be fine. And if he really is a superstar talent, Mike Penders, who knows? But the first two, Sanchez and Petrovic, not for me. And to be honest, even though Georgi Petrovic is for me, I know he's had a really good season in Liga, different league, of course, 5th ranked league in Europe. We are the 1st ranked league in Europe in the Premier League. Send Jorgensen or Sanchez to Strasbourg. I guess take back Georgi Petrovic. It's still, for me personally, it still gives off placeholder. I mean, every Chelsea fan, I don't want to speak for every Chelsea fan, but I imagine certainly most will say, right, if you start a goalkeeper that we own in goal now, everyone's saying Petrovic. So there's a little bit of relief there, but it's still, for me, it gives placeholder. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't give this Titanic leader that's going to lead Chelsea's defence from the back and, be a huge clutch moments guy and be a leader. Maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I am. And again, he's the best of the bunch for me, and we don't know what Penders is. So maybe next season, yeah, Petrovic is number 1, Mike Penders is number 2, and if Mike Penders is this insane prodigy, then he just becomes Chelsea's number 1 because he's too good to deny. But for me, that's super risky. Now, let's also say this. There are some conflicting reports from journalists suggesting, no, Chelsea are going in for a goalkeeper, which, again, I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but maybe that means this briefing that's come out to the Mail journalist Ben Jacobs and Nizar Kinsella, and these are good people. I know Naz, I've met Naz, he's a good guy. Maybe they've obviously heard that from the club, and maybe the club are saying that for a reason, because they don't want to devalue all these goalkeepers. Fire sale, Chelsea think all their goalkeepers are naff, so you can buy them for nothing, and they desperately want a goalkeeper. So if you're selling one to Chelsea, you can charge loads. I get it, the public position of Chelsea, they want to not look as weak as they are. So maybe, and I'm theorising here, I really must say that, this could be a briefing to protect them in the market in terms of position. But, I mean, look, we all, if I reckon many Chelsea fans, we said, right, summer transfer window, what do you want? So a Chelsea fan might be in, Might say, sign Victor Osimhen as a striker and sign Diogo Costa as a goalkeeper. And then fill out what we need to do in between. Thank you very much. Got the big high-profile names in. Done. But from what we've got now, which we might still finish top 5, a massive upgrade from right now would be Georgi Petrovic back in goal and a Liam Delap to push, Nico Jackson and the other players in the team just getting better and settling in. Andre Santos joining, Esteval Willian joining on the right wing, linking up with Cole Palmer. Suddenly it could be proper naughty and we got a good team from not much huge, silly investment. And we might, if it works, if it clicks, we might all be very happy again. You don't know till you know. But, oh man, I must be real. I've got huge concerns about the goalkeeper. Do let me know what you think though, guys. Please do start up the conversation down below. Comments. As always, thank you for supporting my content here. You can do so just by liking, subscribing, sharing. Enjoy the football, and I hope to see you back here very soon. Peace.